14 years ago, I was diagnosed with a hip labral tear in my right hip. At first, there was a lot of pain and there was a lot of movement problems, but I never had surgery and I was still able to recover and live a fulfilling, active, athletic life. In this video, I'm going to share with you my top 3 secrets for how I did that so that you can do the same. My top 3 secrets for training around a hip labral tear are mobility, strength, and long, thorough warm-ups. So let's dive into each one of those. First, mobility. If you have a hip labral tear, sometimes the body, because of pain, shuts down your range of motion and your mobility, and via massaging, stretching, and strengthening your hips, you need to unlock or regain that hip mobility. Some of the main things that usually you need to do is work on the high quad attachment point. Sometimes my adductors get very tight in my hip that has the hip labral tear. So I'll use balls, kettlebells, rollers, the hip stick tool to massage all of my muscles. And that allows me to increase my mobility without needing an expensive invasive surgery. My second secret is strength training, and specifically with free weights. Of course, you can do a bodybuilder routine where you're using lots of machines, but for someone who's got a hip labral tear, I find that working with dumbbells, kettlebells, and barbells is a lot better. Why? Because I have to learn how to stabilize and balance while I'm building the strength of my muscles. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1. My muscles are getting stronger. Maybe they're even getting more hypertrophied or more bulky, which can add a certain stability in and around the hip. And because they're not in a track, they're unstable, that forces me to build that stability that maybe my labrum isn't helping out so much with anymore. The third secret is long warm-ups. What I specifically mean is, back in the day when I was a young lad, I could just hop into a game of soccer or frisbee or basketball or whatever without doing a warm-up. Now that I'm a bit older, approaching 40, I need to take care of my body a little bit better. One of my first mentors, Carl Valley, used to say that when he would train his Olympic level athletes, he would have them warm up for an entire hour. And his phrase that he taught me was, when warming up, you want to cook the bird to the bone, meaning you want it thoroughly perfused with blood and you want to be hot and sweaty at the end of your warm-up. And what that does is it adds lubrication to the joints and makes sure that if you do a sudden movement, you're less likely to strain a muscle. So for example, if I'm going to go play frisbee, which I'm about to do in maybe an hour or so, I'll do a long, hour-long walk that slowly turns into a jog, that slowly turns into a sprint. It's kind of like a crescendo, and then I'll get into playing frisbee. Whereas back in the day, I would just hop right into playing frisbee. But if you start to accumulate these labral tears or problems or old injuries or whatever, you need to cook the bird to the bone. You need to do a longer warm-up. If you want to see a video of the exact way that I mobilize and warm up before going to play sports, check out this video here and I'll put the link in the description. One other little bonus tip is, what do you do when you're actually playing your sport? Because there's a difference between how I play sports now and how I played sports back in the day. The difference is now I'm constantly tuning in and checking in with my body. If I feel something weird, like there's a muscle that's about to strain or something just doesn't feel right, I slow down, take it a little easier, check in to see if it's just a momentary thing or if it's like something's about to get pulled here. And this is very different from what I notice in younger athletes or maybe people who haven't experienced quite as many injuries as me, which is they'll feel something going wrong, like I feel my hamstring is feeling really tight, like it's about to pull, and they'll just soldier through and keep sprinting and end up actually really pulling their hamstrings. So the pro tip is pay more attention to what's going on in your body as you're playing the sports. And if you need to cool down a little bit and take it a little easier, that's a smarter decision in the long run. So that is it. That is how I've mastered my hip labral tear and continued to play sports for 14 years after being diagnosed with the hip labral tear. If you're in a similar situation, and if you're looking for more direct one-on-one help from someone who's been there and lived through the same problems as you, check out gotrom.com/VIP and schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. And remember, you're just one step away from building or rebuilding your perfect body. Like my eye twitched in a really weird way. I'll do it one more time. Strength training.